Eloise Bell had been an English professor at BYU for 31 years when she retired in 1994. She was an early Mormon feminist and continually fought for a better future for women. She was the first woman ever to deliver a forum address. She wore pantsuits even though they were against the honor code. Bell was also gay, and during her time at BYU had a secret long-term relationship with Margot E. Levitri, who she hid from administration. The two lived together and loved each other for 25 years. Bell encouraged BYU female students to take their education more seriously and urged her entire audience to recognize the women's movement as one of history's most significant advances and worthy causes. A feminist is a person who believes that historically there have been inequalities in the education and treatment of women in several or many spheres of society and who is interested in correcting these inequalities as he or she sees them. Let it not be said that BYU stood on the sidelines while great and needed social reforms were taking place in the 20th century. Rather, let it be said that we took our rightful position in the forefront of that movement. Bell received many distinguished awards, including the Carl G. Mazur Award for Distinguished Teaching and the Alcuin Award for Excellence in Teaching. When marriage equality was won in 2015, Bell and her wife Nancy Jeffries were married. 2 years later, Bell passed away in her home in Oklahoma.
On February 16, 2000, James Nickerson published a letter to the editor in the Daily Universe, BYU student newspaper, which satirically stated, "In the past, I always entertained the foolish notion that we had to draw lines somewhere defining what was acceptable. But now I know that such talk is nonsense. We should embrace all types of people and cease this ridiculous repression of homosexuals, pedophiles, abusers, murderers, Satanists, and other minority groups who live in the same free country we do." A few days later, Stuart Mattis, a gay BYU student, wrote in response, "I implore the students at BYU to reassess their homophobic feelings. Seek to understand first before you make comments. We have the same needs as you. We desire to love and be loved. We desire to live our lives with happiness. We are not a threat to you or your families. We are your sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, neighbors, co-workers, and friends. And most importantly, we are all children of God." 4 days later, Mattis died by suicide, writing in a note, "God never intended for me to be straight. Hopefully my death can be the catalyst for some good." Several years after Mattis's death, Soul Force, an organization that aims to stop spiritual violence against queer people, organized a caravan that made a stop at BYU campus. 5 current BYU students, 4 former BYU students, and 15 writers were arrested for involvement in a procession bringing lilies onto campus and lying down in a die-in in remembrance of LGBTQ Mormon suicide victims.
These young people are going to now walk onto campus, and they're going to lay down in what's called a die-in.
It was a really powerful, hard moment. Arrest is serious, but it doesn't matter because I'm called by God to stand up to bring to the attention of the people injustice that is happening.
John committed suicide on November 12, 1995 in Bountiful. He was 26 years old. Farrell committed suicide on January 9th, 1986.
Committed suicide in the Western Desert.
If you are contemplating suicide, please know that you are loved. There is a place for you in this world. You are not alone. We love you, and if you need help, please reach out. We have open arms for you, and we want to help you.
So where does this leave us now? These days, we live in the middle of a tug of war between two sides. This era is characterized by constant push and pull. taking 2 steps forward followed by 3 steps back. BYU continues to be a place where queerphobia can thrive and where students take a back seat to the greater politics at play, but BYU has come a long way. Aversion therapy ended, the ban on queer students was lifted, and much of the scare tactics and surveillance stopped. The ban on advocacy was lifted, and students started organizing. In 2010, shortly after the ban on LGBTQ+ students gathering was lifted, queer and straight students began weekly meetings at USGA. LGBTQ+ panels began taking place on campus. People began grappling with queer issues as more of their friends came out and accepted themselves. But then came more resistance. Conservative groups began pushing back. USJ was kicked off campus. In 2015, one student was beat up for being gay. For the last few years, we have been caught in the crossfire, but have shown our resilience every time. When they kicked USJ off campus, we moved to the Provo Library. When they reversed the honor code change, we organized, protested, and 1 year later, we lit the Y. When opposition said they needed to be protected from the rainbow, we made the Rainbow Collective. When they implemented new demonstration policy and put a fence, we lit the Y again. When they called for musket fire against us, we responded with uplifting chalk messages and art. We responded by organizing, spending countless hours on drag shows, panels, art shows, pride marches, career fairs, festivals, weekly events, resources, and much more. In the face of scrutiny, discipline, and danger, we deliver resolve, community, and love. We've been robbed of public displays of softness, love, and affection. We've been scrutinized, suppressed, and told over and over again that our lives are less than valid, less than human. But we know that is not true. The love and lives that queer people have cultivated and experienced are beautiful, worthwhile, and striking. We feel in our bones and our beings that we are humans, that we are made of love and light. And though they may continue to point their muskets at us, we have no reason to fear, because together we are bulletproof.
My hope for a future of full inclusion and acceptance is strong. It is strong because I have sat behind closed doors and watched the perspectives of older generations expand. It is strong because I've met feisty, confident, and empowering crop of new BYU freshmen. It is strong because I saw my community gather in the streets and at the polls to ensure their rights to family, to choice, and to equal protection. It is strong because I look into the eyes of family, friends, administrators, professors, and colleagues, and I see them asking the question, why? Why have decades of surveillance, harassment, and violence against queer students been tolerated and encouraged? Why have we shoved queer people out of our schools, workplaces, congregations, and homes? Why have we removed our own queer students from our campus and required them to gather elsewhere? My hope is multiplied because I've seen more and more of my friends, colleagues, and administrators come to this same conclusion. There is no good answer and no good excuse for the institutional exclusion of queer people. The path forward is dismantling and overcoming the lies and assumptions that we learned about queerness being dangerous. The path forward is saving our queer youth by providing healthcare and social support. The path forward is celebrating progress and embracing our uniqueness and power. The path forward excludes no one, and the path forward is to let live.